I've been very anti-missions trips for a while.
Okay.
I had taken quite a bit of a step back away from church. I was raised Christian, but we've talked about this, but had bad experiences with church. And so I wouldn't consider myself very religious anymore. But my mom went on this trip with her church last year, and she came back and she was like begging me to go with her again. And she said that it was just so amazing, and that the church that she went with particularly was doing so much good, and that they were actually doing stuff constructive. It wasn't, because a lot of my problem with a lot of missions trips is I saw it a lot in college. I went to a private Christian university. I saw a lot of white people going to places like Africa and taking pictures with little African kids and basically being like, look at how good of a person I am. And all they were doing was, talking about God. And then they leave. And then it's just, that's what colonialism is, it's like, that's what they were doing, is coming in and not really doing much and getting this like star treatment and then leaving. So that's what I thought that this trip was going to be, and it wasn't. This church in particular works with an organization called Missions of Hope, which is if you've ever heard of sponsoring kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is a child sponsorship school and organization. And so we went particularly to work with, or specifically to work with, Missions of Hope. But then we also had a team of doctors, dentists, construction workers. The doctors and dentists saw over 500 patients.
Yo, what was the amount of time that they, like a couple weeks?
We were there for 2 weeks. So, and they go every year.
That's a lot. They did a lot.
Yeah, they did excellent. A lot. And they moved all around. So I was mainly in Nairobi, but they also worked in Turkana, which is kind of a remote village outside of Nairobi. And they mainly did, not only for the kids that were a part of Missions of Hope from the school, but for the community and the villagers. So they were doing free dental work, free checkups.
I love it.
Most of the cases were for malnutrition that they were seeing. So they were working in more of the impoverished areas. Kenya is not all impoverished. It is, you have like Beverly Hills type people driving Rolls Royces, and then you have slums. So it's not that the whole entire, I think that's also, people think like Africa, like, oh, there's starving kids in Africa. There are, but there's also a lot of money in Africa too. But unfortunately, I feel like the States just shows kind of the impoverished sides of things. But we were there specifically to help with the people that needed help. And we were working with a team of social workers to go around to some of the neediest families in the area and building beds for them. So there's 7 major slums that surround Nairobi, or that are in and out of Nairobi. And Nairobi's like LA, like it's a big city in Kenya. It's huge. Or the county is huge. And some of these people live in like tin roof homes. They're called shanties, and they're like 8 by 6, and they'll have a family of 7 living in there.
Jeez.
And they're all living on less than the equivalent to less than $1 a day. A lot of them don't have work. A lot of them is multi-generational, where they have passed down this specific shanty from, grandmother to granddaughter. Like it just keeps getting passed down. And one of our groups worked with, we were all split up into different groups, and we were all assigned a social worker, and then the social worker assigned us to a family to help. Okay. And we went into 9 different homes where we built bunk beds, 3-level bunk beds for them, because some of them just didn't have access to beds, or if they did, they were like soaked in urine, or like one of the families was kind of ostracized because the child had special needs. And for some reason, culturally, if someone has special needs, it's seen as a curse. So the community kind of tends to ostracize those families because they think the child is cursed. Okay. So our team went in there and helped this mom. She had, I think, like 5 or 6 kids by herself. And their house was at the bottom of a river in their village, and anytime the river overflowed, it would flood their shanty. But the river is what they use to drop all of their waste.
Oh no, really?
Mm-hmm. So our team members were literally stepping in like feces And they cleaned out the whole bottom, put all of her stuff in plastic bins so that it was protected. We gave them a food bag with like flour and a bunch of stuff so that they could cook. And then built a 3-level bunk bed so that her and her kids could not only be sleeping on a mattress and not all crammed in one bed, but off the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're there for 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
Right? So we did that. And then we traveled to a village. We built 2 houses out of mud.
What?
Yeah.
What? Okay. So how was that experience building a house out of mud?
That was so cool. I loved it. After visiting Turkana, I was like, if I came back here, I think I would want to spend 2 weeks in Turkana. But what they do is they use the natural resources in the village. Most of the Turkana people is one of the oldest tribes in Africa. The language is not written down. It's only passed down from verbally.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we went in just to kind of help. Like they already, we're not there to change their lives by any means. You know, the Turkana people have been operating a certain way for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's a polygamist village. It's their culture. So we weren't trying to change their culture, but there was a specific family that the social worker had reached out to us that said, you know, this woman needs some help. She has 8 kids. She had a 18-month-old baby, and she had lost her last baby to malnutrition. Oh, and this one, they were pretty sure wasn't going to survive. So we got the baby on a feeding program, is going to the hospital and getting like a feeding tube and different things so that the baby can make it. But then we built them a 2-bedroom house because it was a family of 8.
Okay, so how long did it take for you to build a house like that?
2 days.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. So we came in, because we had a large team. We had like 45 people.
Okay.
So one of the days we came to finish the house, so the whole team was there. So we flew from Nairobi to Turkana, and there was a Turkana team that was there the whole time, maybe about 20 people. And so what they do is we have like local villagers know how to do this. So they'll frame the house, and it's framed out of sticks.
Okay.
And then they use the natural dirt that's there. Ends up, when you mix it with water, it becomes clay, and it well insulates it because it's very hot there. It was like 100 and something degrees when you were there. Whoa. I was sweating beyond belief. And that was their winter. Like I was there during June is considered their winter.
Get out of here. That's their winter.
It's 100 degrees. And so what you do is you basically shovel up the dirt, and then you mix it with water, and then you stomp on it with your feet.
Wow.
So I was up to my knees in mud and stomping, and then you make like a mud pie with your hands, and then you shove it in between the sticks, and the sun dries it so fast, and it insulates the house.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Has that trip kind of grounded you, changed you in a way, made you more grateful for what you have? I mean, it had to have had an impact.
Yeah, well, because also while I was there, I taught a makeup class to a cosmetology school.
That's what I'm talking about, girl.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So when they found out, when I had first interviewed, because I was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to join a construction team. Like I want to do something with my hands and know that I'm making a positive impact. I don't want to just like talk to people about God. Like I want to do something, especially because I'm not like very comfortable like talking about faith. And so I was like, I want to make sure that I'm completing a project and like actually can see it with my own hands. And so I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. So when I talked to them, they asked me what I did for work, and I told them that I was a makeup artist, and they were like, well, you know, we have a cosmetology school and a cosmetology program. Would you be interested in teaching?
They have a school there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They were like, would you be interested in teaching a makeup class? There's a need for it. They don't have a makeup class.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, sure. So I was able to organize, I reached out to some brands that sponsored it. And then some other makeup artists helped, but I had traveled with over 150 pounds of makeup, enough for 15 women to have a whole complete makeup kit, personalized makeup kit.
Wow.
So they were having a 26-piece kit for each woman. And
excellent.
And then I created kind of a textbook for them to go over sanitation and skincare and how to apply makeup. And then I taught the class for 5 hours. I taught them all about the products, and then I did a demonstration, and they all did makeup actively while I was doing the demonstration, and I walked around, and it was so cool to see them finish their makeup, because some of them had never done makeup ever in their lives.
Yeah.
Because it's, especially for in the community that we were in, there's not a lot of money. I was working in a area where it's just all the shanties. So most of these people like don't have a lot of resources. So it was so cool for them to feel beautiful. Some of them had never seen makeup on their faces.